good? Welcome to the live chat. We're on YouTube. Sorry to miss that by a minute. I don't see Tater Dom. She usually is on. Now let me check real quick. Hey, Jamie, good to see you. I'm gonna check the YouTube real quick, make sure that my microphones are all on. We're headed over to YouTube. All right, YouTube me tonight, and we'll go. Yeah, now today, there we are. We're live. Let's see, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys live. Home. Let's go to home. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, so let's see if it. Like the last time we did this, and it wasn't showing up, and so this time it showed up right away. So I don't know whether it was my internet was slow or whatever, but I'm skipping the ads, and there we are. I'm right there, so you can see us now. Right now, I'm here. I've got the. I'm supposed to be over a little bit more like this, yes, so that it's not completely in front of me. Yeah, I should be closer to the thing. Let's see. If we move these a little bit further. Oh, that's the on air. All right, that's like right in front of me. If I move them, how about let's move these? How about that? We'll move that there. Well, then is it right in front of the? No, it's not. That makes well, we'll see. Am I putting it right in front of the screen so nobody can see anybody, or do I got it? I should pull it back here. Let's see. How about that? How about that? And that screen should go a little bit more like that. I'm going to pull it back. I'm just checking, getting everything ready for YouTube, everybody. All right. There we go. That's better. So when, I should check to see if I can hear. All right. Yep, I can hear. All right. So we're live on YouTube. Let's hope tonight we get some people watching, just because we're doing Old Forester, which should be pretty cool. And then, all right, we're back on the Facebook. Shared a lot. Hopefully, we get a bunch of people here. But we've got look at that, all the little things. We'll get them all here. Put them all right there. Okay. So I'm just trying to look all around, trying to make this work. All right. So tonight, we are ready to go and start. I think the music started, so I can get going. We should have. Stephen Pitzer has joined us. Thanks for the like, Mr. Pitzer. Good to see you. This should be pretty fun tonight. But I got a couple things to do, but we got to get this rolling. All right, we're gonna get it rolling. So there's a 30-second time where I have to be quiet, and then you'll hear the theme song, and we'll get going. All right, everybody, here we go. Starting the countdown. Woo! Welcome, everybody. Drinking bourbon, sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, it's short fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Man, we talk sunshine, love to tell it the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raising some hell. right. Welcome to another awesome podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. I'm Tiny tonight. We are expecting an appearance from Barrelhead tonight. He is coming in. He's just a little bit late, gonna be a little bit late, but I'm gonna get this baby rolling. I'm making sure we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube watching. Hey, Terry Dant, appreciate you coming on. And then John John Bon Lover, he's also watching. We got Stephen Pitzer watching also. But tonight's podcast is exciting. And we're going to be covering in the first part whiskey making. A couple people have asked, how is it made? Go through what is the purpose and the process of making whiskey. So we're going to cover that tonight. And then also we are going to go through the Old Forester line of bourbons. I don't have all the bottles and everything, but I have some, but we'll also discuss them in detail. And we've got a couple people. We got Jamie and Walker, welcome tonight. We got them watching, and I'm sure Walker has been really good when I watch the Facebook as far as keeping my facts straight. He's pretty good with that. Every once in a while I got him, but for the most time he has me because we all know when it comes to names, I'm not the greatest when it comes to names, and so he helps me out a lot. But that's what we got on the docket for tonight. I'm Tiny. And we got, that was not good. We got whiskey coming in, but also not whiskey. We got Barrelhead coming in, and we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Check us out, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Check out our merchandise. We've got Glencairns with Scotchy Bourbon Boys logo, and then also t-shirts. Check that out. We also sell bourbon balls. Haven't made a batch in a while, but that's going to be coming through soon. So go to the site, check out everything. And then also remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or X. Follow us anywhere. And then also all the major podcast formats, Apple, iHeart, Spotify. Please check that out. We've got hopefully coming up. I'm working on trying to get us elsewhere. But the podcast has been doing really well on YouTube and Facebook because we go live, and then also throughout the formats. You guys have been so supportive, and there's been a lot of tonight's podcast with the whiskey making is a direct result of a question that was asked on YouTube. And they asked if we do that. Now, we have a couple sponsors I'd like to go through. You just heard the people who are listening. You heard Alan Bishop. If you have ghosts, you have everything. But also the Spirit of French Lick. You've also just, if you're listening, you've heard Alan Bishop going through. We're in the process of changing that because Alan Bishop has left the Spirit of French Lick. We had done the last two barrel picks with Alan there. So it's kind of a historic pick. So that should be coming, and we are going to be going down to Indiana to be able to hopefully have a release party right from the Spirit of French Lick's gift shop with Justin and Laureline and Brooklyn. So we're looking forward to that. But then also, and if you have any questions about that, you can contact me directly here on Facebook through Messenger. That works good. And if you're listening, just ask the question in the comments, and I'll get back to you about that. The Lillian Sinclair and the William Dalton are fantastic bourbons. So, but we also have a new sponsor, Jason Giles. He is the master blender for Rosewood Bourbon. Now, they just got their site up, but I'm going to quickly do this. I've been working on this, so bear with me because I'm practicing it. I'm going to do it a couple times in the reading, but then I'll record it and it'll be run as an ad. But hey, Scotchy Bourbon Boys, Tiny here to tell you about Rosewood Bourbon and Rye. The bourbon that implicated Andy Dufresne in a double homicide he did not commit. in the movie Shawshank Redemption. Originally produced in California by General Distillers in the 1930s and originally called Lewis Hunter's Rosewood Bourbon, master blender Jason Giles has brought back Rosewood to you. By purchasing and contract distilling barrels in Kentucky and Indiana and shipping them once they mature to Texas, where he ages them for at least another summer in the Longhorn. Where did that go? In summer in the Longhorn State. Thank you. Where he at least ages them for another summer in the Longhorn State. The Kentuckian blend and single barrels of a offer a okay. Let's try that again. The Kentuckian blend single barrels offer a unique bourbon and rye experience like no other. Okay, let's try that again. The Kentuckian blend and single barrels offer a unique bourbon and rye experience like no other. Please drink responsibly and never drink and drive. Sorry for blowing that, but that's why I'm practicing it. So, wanted to say that Jason Giles just launched his Rosewood Bourbon, Rosewood Bourbon site, and on right now, I'm going to do for Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to share the screen because right here, all right, we're going to give it a share. There you go. You can see the Rosewood single barrel. It's like their website. So they have their single barrels, but then they also have their blends. So Indiana small batch and the Kentucky small batch you can purchase them. But also they are purchasable on, I want to go here, on the Bourbon Outfitter. You can get a hold of those. Go to the Bourbon Outfitter and they'll do the shipping. So you've got the website where you can check out all the products, and he has bourbon and rye. But right now, the Kentucky small batch 100 proof and the Indiana small batch are what are there. And the website, go check it out, rosewoodbourbon.com. It's super, and if you're interested, oh yes, my go-to. Yeah. So Timothy Winters is watching. Super guy. And then if the other thing that I wanted to do tonight, so there. I mean, check out Bourbon Outfitters. You can they'll ship it right to your door, and then you could check it out his website. They got the history up there, which is really cool. So I love what he's done on the website and the history. So rosewoodbourbon.com. Now, as far as there was another, let's see, is that right here? Nope, that wasn't it. I'm sure it's hiding. Let's see. No, spirits of, there it is. That is it. So, as far as one of the things I want to say is that this past weekend I used the Sigador. I had actually, it is you can see it right up here. It's a single humidor, a single cigar humidor. You can get them. You can get them engraved. You can purchase all the different. I have Army Green. I love it, but I left it in there, the cigar in there for over 3 weeks, and it kept it at 70% humidity, and it was fantastic. It's really kind of a great gift. So go to sigador.com if you get a chance for that too. That's another tip that I have. So we're going to go to stop share and we'll go back up to view full screen. We're still waiting for Barrelhead to come in. But let's get right to whiskey making. So that's what I want to do for right now. Whiskey making, for people who want to know, let's just start why whiskey was made, and it's really simple. When you're talking about back in the olden days, in the United States, as far back into 1700s, people had brought stills over. So what's the purpose of whiskey? Well, the purpose of whiskey is, like, you're a farmer, you grow grains. Now, Whiskey is made from cereal grains. In when it's made in Scotch, they use all what they grow over there is malted barley. What it where you can when it's made with rye, you can mix. Has to be 51% rye wheat. If it's a wheated whiskey, a wheat whiskey, it has to be at least 51% wheat. But you have other grains you can put now. Single malt whiskey, like Irish, and that they basically what they grow there is the barley. So they're a lot of they grow it for beer and then they grow it for whiskey over there. Now a lot of but they don't grow a lot of corn and wheat over there. So they use the barley because that's what and those are still cereal grains and they can add other grains to them. But what so what's the purpose of why there I mean there's a main reason why people actually make whiskey. And one of the reasons is because let's say you've grown your crop and you've harvested it and you get it ready for the winter, but you have an excess amount. Well, or you're selling it. Well, to sell corn or wheat or rye in the form that it's in is bulky and you have to ship it. You have to take it into the store where people buy it. You have to, or you got to send it down the river and it's bulky. So, and it's basically, degrading. The product will rot, and you can't take it. So a lot of times, if you dry it out, it's better. But at the same time, even in these days, one of the things that when you buy the corn after it's fresh and being processed, opposed to buying it later in the next growing season, the silo at the end could there can be lots of stuff can happen to the corn. So what they wanted to do was take that excess corn, enough for once they had it, they sold off for the food purposes, and then or the cattle they but it was the excess corn, and instead of letting that rot and go to waste, they distilled it, and the distilling process is very unique. You've got moonshiners made whiskey, and then as we kept going through time, they also made moonshine. Now, the difference between moonshine and whiskey, well, I mean, the main difference is when you make moonshine, you do it illegally because that's the definition of mission. But the standard moonshine, a lot of times, so let's just go through the process. You take the grains, you grind them up. Mills will grind them up, same as if you were grinding for flour or wheat. You grind it up into fine particles. It is a little bit different, the particles, as what you would do for flour, opposed to grinding for distilling. But you take the let's just say for whiskey, you're going to use corn, you're going to make a rye, and so what you do is you cook it first. And the definition of cooking is you add your corn, and we were doing this past weekend, and there's different levels, temperatures that cook better. And you're talking about bringing the water. They brought the water to a boil, and then they dropped it down, and they added the corn and they added the rye. First the corn and then the rye. And then they basically were mixing it. And as the temperature cooled from about 180 to 160, at about 160, I think, I want to say, I'm not sure, but it was dropping it down to between 160 and 140. They added the barley. Now were mixing in a wooden barrel. I mean, in a bourbon, a charred wooden barrel. That's where they were doing the mixing. And then once you get everything, now when they added a little barley initially, which breaks up the corn and it breaks up the rye so that it doesn't get all thick. But you can see that it's when you're doing this, it's got to dissolve, and you're trying to get it to dissolve overall the best possible way that you can get it to dissolve. So, oh, Alan's watching. Oh, great. Now I'm going to get, hey, Alan, typically grain intended for moonshine is more coarse than grain for whiskey. See, this is why I'm very happy that Alan is on. So there you go. For moonshine, the grain is a little bit coarser, and then in a lot of cases, they add sugar to help with the breakdown or the fermenting. Is I mean, they don't have to, but that is a standard procedure if I'm not mistaken. So that would be one that Alan could answer and say yes or no on that one. But you're talking sugar shine, but adding different types of sugars uh, to help the yeast convert the alcohol. Now, I know that you can now once you're doing this and you add the bar. Okay, so here he goes. He said 190 on the wheat and rye and oats and 140 on the malt. So yeah, that's what. But we added at 152 because the grain dropped the water temperature. Yes, so you were shooting for the 145, but you knew that you had to be a little higher because the the temperature of the grain would drop the water temperature. So there you go. So you start off with the wheat and the rye and the oats, and same with the corn, if I'm not mistaken, if you're adding corn, and then 145 to add the malt. Now, initially, you add a little bit of malt, like a handful of the malt, if I'm not mistaken, so that the malt actually starts breaking down the sugars in the in the grains so that they dissolve better. The rye, the we would have done the rye at 168 to 170 for 20 minutes, oats at 165 for 15 minutes. So Alan's talking about when you add them into the water and then as it cools down, it dissolves better at these temperatures, and it also is as far as making your mash and getting it ready to um, get ready to start the fermentation. Yep, for alpha, yeah, amylase. And so he said, yeah, they added a handful for alpha amylase. That's as good as I can say it. And so now we are getting very specific because this is really great because Alan joined us, and I really appreciate that because this is about making whiskey. Now, the whole thing when you make it at a distillery, whether you pot still or column still, the upfront aspects are very similar. Now, in a lot of so I've heard so barley is added so that the sugar chains when you cook from the wheat, from the rye, from the corn are longer, and yeast has needs the sugar chains to be shorter. The shorter the sugar chain, the better the yeast can. 1/2 pound grains a gallon to 1/2 sugars per gallon. Yes. So the corn, and so when you have the corn, the wheat, the rye, you need those sugar chains to be broke down. So when the yeast is added, it can convert the alcohol at a much better rate. If they're too long, it causes changes in flavors because when the it introduces the it doesn't all convert to alcohol. It introduces other chemicals in there that aren't great for distilling. So you want to basically have those sugar chains short so that when you do add the yeast, the alcohol conversion is at its best. Now, he also says for moonshine that it's pretty typical to add sugar. Alpha breaks starch into long chain sugars. Beta from malt breaks long chain sugars into short chain ones. Perfect. Thank you. That is perfect. So now with most, he says with most moonshines, it's 1/2 grain per gallon and 1 to 2 pounds sugar per gallon. So once again, that when you're making the moonshine, that makes that when you add the yeast, sugar is like that you add is like the shortest shortest chain there is. So the yeast will really they like that. So once you have everything cooked and you have it down, now what's the temperature that what is it? I want to say, what's the temperature that's best for yeast to convert sugar to alcohol? I'm sure Ellen knows that. I want to say it's around, I want to say 70 to 90. That's what I remember, but he's going to pitch in right here. I'm relying on Alan for this podcast. It's kind of cool. But so once you have it cooked and it's you have it into the fermentation tub, this is where you add your yeast. And then you want to keep the temperature that's most conducive for the yeast to convert the sugar to the alcohol. Now, in natural fermentation, which is something Alan is really good at capturing yeast, he goes around and has captured yeast at many different sites. I think we all know that the yeast itself, here we go. He says on sugar type, most grains 85 to 90, brandy typically 65 to 70. Okay, so that's okay. We got Barrelhead coming in. Hopefully he is able to connect to the audio and the video. And so we've got 80 to, so there you go. For whiskey, it's a little bit different than brandy. So 85 to 90, and you want to keep that. How's it going? Can you hear me? No audio yet. All right, there he goes. There you are, connected?
Yeah.
Yep, we're right now in the middle of going through distilling. So once we do that, then we'll go into the Old Forester. We'll get into the brand of that. All right, so once you add the yeast to the now there are a lot of people. I hear a lot of what at most distilleries it's 72 hours is what for it to the yeast to basically convert the sugar to alcohol. And that once that process has happened, now some people a natural fermentation I've heard up to a month. I mean, it's just, but the 72 hours seems to be. Now I've heard of a 36 hour at one place, but that seems to be I don't know. It just seems different, but 72. But you know that it will make what happens is as it's taking those grains and converting the sugar to alcohol, there is a cap on it with all those grains, and it's like at one point once it's finished, the cap drops, and so those grains are at the bottom. But it's almost like an oatmeal. A sour oatmeal when it's at this point when it's converting those sugars to alcohol. But once you have that and it's finished, it's distiller's beer. That's what they call the distiller's beer. It's a form of beer that you then now can put into the still. Now, when you're talking about distilling whiskey, there's a lot of things that go. There's two ways of doing it, or a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different type pot stills. I mean, that you can use wood burning. You can to heat your pot still. You can use to heat your pot still. You can use steam to heat your pot still. So all these different ways of doing that, and then there's the column still. With a pot still, and we're just going to review this kind of quickly. A pot still, you basically it's a single run. So you basically fill it up, you run everything, and then once it's done, you would then work on doing it. If you wanted to, you would run it again. But each time, it's a single run. And each time you do those runs, they have, when you are creating alcohol and yeast converting sugar is used in a lot in jet fuel, and it's used in cement, different petroleum products, and it's used in, you know, acetone, nail polish remover. It's used in rubber cement thinner. All alcohol is used to those chemicals that you can get from distilling are used, are harsh chemicals, and that's what you get when you're distilling in your heads. The first part of the run, when you're bringing it up, and there's lots of different ways of telling when this is over. It's taste, it's smell, it's proof of what proof it's gotten to. So that first part of starting up the still, you've got to get it going, and you've got those unwanted chemicals that you have to get off the still. Then that leads into what they call the heart of the run. That's the stuff that you use for making whiskey. And then there's the tails, and that's when you get towards the bottom. Now, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, honestly, if the still heats up too hot, you can scorch it. If the grains are not put in properly, you can burn it. I mean, there's this is a skill. It's not something just that anybody, you've got to really kind of go through it and learn. There's no doubt about it. Now, a column still is a continuously running still where the the heads and the tails are dealt with by how they hold it, by the level of a tall still as they're going. These things are going across these plates on the way up and turning the steam, or and that they're vaporizing, and then they have what they call doublers and thumpers. A thumper is usually on the, there's a secondary run that helps you deal with these chemicals. So when you're running a column still, getting those chemicals out completely is impossible. And so some of those chemicals are in there. Most column stilled whiskey needs the barrel. You just don't pull the clear off, and you don't see a lot of people selling now the white dog. But a lot, so when you're dealing with the column still, now when you're dealing with a pot still, you might see that clear whiskey or the moonshine. Most moonshines made on pot stills and clear whiskey, that type of stuff you can do because of the fact that you're manually removing these things. It all looks the same. I mean, it comes out clear. It looks like water, but when those heads are happening, or those, you can just dump them out. Now, a lot of times people use the tails. When they're finished, they'll use the tails and they'll dump it into the next run. When they do it into the still, when that distiller's beer, they add it in, and then you can get more out. You get more out of it. So, right there is the process of how whiskey's made. Now, if you want to come to bourbon, there's a lot of rules on bourbon. Bourbon, actually, when it gets into that distilling, you've got to you can't take it off the still any higher than 160 proof. Vodka, gin, and rum all can come off at 180, 190, and the higher proof. When you distill something at a higher proof, what happens is you can get more volume. When that comes off, you get more volume because of the fact that when you dilute it down to 80 proof, you add more water to get there. So when you're getting more water to get it to 80 proof, opposed to if you take it off at 160, you don't have to add as much water. So you're talking about volume. So when you're talking about vodka, rum, and even you can go higher, they're able to get more volume because it comes off the still at a higher proof. Then there's also what the barrel entry is, and so when you can't take it, you got to take it off lower than 160, and it can't go into the barrel any higher than 125. So a lot of people will distill at 140 so they don't have to add as much water when it goes into the barrel. So bourbon has to go into a new charred oak barrel, and it has to go in at no higher than 125 proof. It can come off the still lower than 160, but not higher. And then the last, once it's in, it's got to be a new charred oak barrel put in, made in the United States. So anywhere in the United States you can make bourbon, and then it has to be at least 51% corn, and it can be any other 4 grain bourbons, whatever. As long as it's 51% corn, it's good. And then the last is it has to be higher than 80 proof in the end. A lot of people will take it out, but it can't be any lower than 80 proof. So there we go for distilling. I thank you, Alan Bishop, for helping me out on some of the the facts that you were giving me along the way, as far as when we were doing the uh, when we were making cooking the mash. So that was something that was very the percentages and everything were, and the temperatures was, I appreciate it.
That's what I would like to see in person sometime, because I deal with brewing all the time.
Yep.
We, like Royce Neely likes to tell me, we quit. I mean, we don't go past that point. So
Nope.
I've always appreciated when he tells me that yeah, I do want to see it in person.
Yeah, but but it's like when in brewing. So I come from Milwaukee, so you've got the distiller's beer. It doesn't. So you're dealing with barley and hops. You know what I mean? You're not dealing with that corn and wheat and all that. The barley and hops. So when you're doing a cook before, and then you do that cook, and then when you let that ferment, it's pretty much liquid. You know what I mean? I've been at Miller and watched them do those cooks, and then the liquid, and then they let it ferment. They now, I don't know what you add. What do you just add yeast to that, right? To let it ferment.
Yeast to it, and we have some that will dry hop. So we'll deal with some of the hop afterwards that fall out towards the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to use that yeast again, you just basically have to get through that hop to get through back to that pure yeast before you would use it for another brew.
Okay. Well, it's as far as what's left over at a brewery.
For the most part, it is liquid. I mean,
that's what I mean. Whereas what's left over for a distillery, they call it stillage. And they basically, if you're a large distillery, that stillage is filling up, like what are the milk trucks? They just keep filling those, the trucks that hold liquid, whatever that's called. They fill those up consistently, and then they ship it to. They're shipping it to the farmers. A lot of times now, like for instance, Middle West, they have a drying system, and if you dry your stillage, it becomes worth a lot more. So when they built that new distillery down there, they're actually drying their stillage. Whereas, like at Bardstown Bourbon Company, I mean, the stillage is being processed, and those trucks just keep coming and coming and coming, and it's given back to the farmers for cattle feed.
That's what we do with our spent grain. We give it back to farmers.
Yeah. So, and then some places, some of the small places, it's like they don't get all, the big places get all that, pretty much squeeze all the alcohol out. But some of the smaller places, they don't get it all out, and the cows love it because it makes them drunk. They actually know it's coming. It's so. We were at the barrel room in Lexington, and they give it in 55 blue gallon drums. The plastic drums, and they get 3 or 4 a week, and the farmer comes for it, and he says that he has to stay in his pickup truck because the cows come running so fast because they know what it is. That's how much they like it. So that's really kind of something. And then, Jamie says happy cows. And so, well, that's pretty much in a quick podcast nutshell. But let's get to the Old Forester. What you got? What do you have there? Barrelhead.
1920, and then the 100 proof rye, and then the bourbon.
Okay, I've got the 1920 and the 1910. I've got the Old Forester 150 anniversary right there.
Nice.
Then I got Justin when we went to Louisville. This was given to us at our Airbnb. It's just straight 86 Old Forester. And then I've got the rye, Old Forester, courtesy of Super Nash.
Nice.
And then I've got courtesy of Walker, all these single barrels. Okay, so I don't think I could. I'll just let you know which ones I've got. This is Old Forester single barrel. This is 128.4 proof, and it is Old Forester Veterans Day 2023. This one is 138.9, and it is I want to say Mammoth Liquors, Old Forester single barrel. This one, then this one is Fort Knox single barrel, and this one is a Kroger's 133.9. So one of the things I want, I wish we had a birthday bourbon, right? So
I only had that one time. It was down at the Conch bar down in Key West.
Yeah, I've had it with Super Nash multiple times. If they have birthday bourbon, we're drinking it. He's bought me numerous pours of the birthday bourbon. The birthday bourbon is the Old Forester brand's main brand. Now they do have a couple distillery releases that they've released lately of different type things, but therefore Jackie Zekon was their master taster, and she left, and then they hired Melissa Rift. Now Melissa Rift is a great story. She's the master taster there right now. She works with Chris Morris, and they just hired who is the master distiller, Chris Morris, but Caleb Trigo they just hired an assistant master distiller, which I think that's a very good thing to do, because a lot of times while the master distiller is running around doing great things and making videos and doing all the things they need to do to promote the brand, you got the assistant master distiller making the whiskey, right? So Melissa is the taster, so that she kind of replaced, but she started out as a tour guide in the industry, and then in November of 22 got hired at Old Forester and has worked her way to become, when you understand and taste and do all the things, it's not a difficult thing. I find that tasting whiskey is a passion, right? It's like doing the time and effort to understand. A lot of people are like, I don't taste that, or I don't know this, but training yourself to smell and taste is a skill that you can learn. There's no doubt about it. And then the more you learn that skill, the more you do, the more you taste. I mean, evolving my palate from, when I was a kid where everything was just fire to where I am now was a journey. But at the same time, when we were able to do the aroma kits and do all that, that allowed us to get to where we, needed to go. And Melissa, she must have been tasting all along, even when she was a tour guide and in the industry. We all know when we go down there, don't you agree? We meet the people in the industry and they love bourbon.
Yeah. But it's not something you just jump into. I mean, it takes a lot of time to get to that point. A lot of training.
Yeah, and evolution. I really feel that your taste buds evolve as you go. So you learn to taste the vanillas and caramels, but then you start to pick up chocolates and mints, and then you start to pick up, baking spices and, those things to pick up cardamom. You have to know what cardamom tastes like or smells like. You know what I mean? Those spices. So a lot of times they say, and this is not a cut, but because women were the people who always, who cooked, their smell and taste developed because it was very important for them to be able to smell and taste the food before they served it, and I think that it's the same today, not women but men chefs and that type of thing. They develop their palates to be able to really make good food, or in this case good whiskey. But I always feel that who's tasting and blending, there's so many different palettes, but the team that's tasting and blending, they can really produce some good whiskey, and I'm excited about this 1920 I have here, because this is the first time I'm revisiting it since we did the blind with Young Nose, and that tells you how long ago it was. And I ended up liking Old Forester 100 above the Distillers Row series, and this is the Prohibition style. This is the Old Fine Whiskey, the 1910 that took third place. This Old Forester 150, I'm excited to taste that right now, because that was crazy. That took number one. I still have. Now this happened 2 years ago. So if there's anything, this is a whatever 2 ounce bottle, right? So there's an ounce left, probably a little more, and it's been in the bottle in a sample bottle for 2 years.
Oh wow!
Let's give this one a try. But while we're doing that, I have a little bit of history on Brown-Forman, who makes Old Forester. So let's just do that real quick. All right. So the Brown-Forman Distillery, which Greg Schneider did work at, was initially Seagram's, but it was formerly known as the Early Times. The Brown-Forman Distillery is home to Old Forester bourbon, and it was home to Early Times, but they've since this sold it to Buffalo Trace. So Early Times is no longer part of you know the Brown-Forman family. It's Buffalo Trace. But in 1870, George Gavin Brown, a young pharmaceutical salesman in Louisville, saw the need for a consistently high-quality whiskey that met medicinal standards. At this time, whiskey was the best anesthetic available and was prescribed for a host of ailments. And just because we discovered penicillin doesn't mean it still doesn't work on colds and that type of thing. It still has medicinal, value. Branded barrels were sold in bulk, and some retailers adulterated the whiskey. In response, Brown and his half brother JTS Brown, which we know CT's favorite brand to put in a used barrel, began selling Old Forester bourbon whiskey in sealed glass bottles to ensure its quality. Before finding, okay, 1933, after Prohibition ended, the mash bill of Old Forester is 72% corn, a substantial 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. So the Brown-Forman also makes Jack Daniels, and they also make Woodford Reserve. So Woodford Reserve and Old Forester are the same mash bill. So that is a very unique thing, But supposedly, Old Forester is column stilled, and Woodford is half column stilled, half pot stilled. So we all know what that is. So that's how you get the difference in flavor. All right. Riley, it undergoes a 5-day fermentation, and it has a 12% sour. All right. The yeast strains are for make. Let's see. I'm gonna go quick. Woodford produces a Okay, so Old Forester produces a robust, fruity white dog with spicy notes and citrus ripe cherry aromas. After passing through the beer, there. Okay, so we're just going through. Old Forester is poured into new charred oak barrels in a straight Kentucky bourbon. The spirit is. So then, okay, it's a tradition. Brown and Forman whiskeys are traditional crafted bourbon with lots of body up front, fruit in the nose and palate, and all the right notes of vanilla oak. There is an 86 6-year-old bottling a complex cracker of 100% um, proof bottling aged over 8 years, and a limited edition released as a commemorative to George Gavin Brown's birthday. They are often experimental and innovative. So there you go. There's a little history on Old Forester and Brown Forman.
Tiny.
Yeah.
James wants to know what book you're reading.
Oh, James wants to know what book. It's called Michael Jackson's Whiskey Bible. It is the definitive world guide. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool book. It gives you a history. But, I purchased this almost right away. So this is like, it's so Michael Jackson is no longer alive, but they produced this one to update the one he produced when he was alive. So it goes through distilling and bourbon, but it gives you all the histories of the distilleries and from the different regions. So there's it gives you Scotch, Irish. So it works really good for us. You know what I mean? Getting that out of there. All right, so I'm going to drink the anniversary blend first. Let's see if I like it. Wow. So when we did, me and Nash did when we did the Moonshine University's bourbon executive bourbon steward course, right? So Old Forester, I'm not all. Like I said, I like the banana note. So if you get a single barrel with that banana note, I absolutely love it. But there's some I don't like the peppery note. So let's just think about that. Sometimes it's so peppery, I can't taste anything else. It becomes one dimensional. And it's not a pleasant thing for me. Now, once again, for everybody out there, this is just me. Super Nash absolutely loves Old Forester single barrels. Any single barrel he can get his hand on, he will buy. He loves them. So, but for me, I've tasted more Old Forester single barrels that weren't the greatest to me than I have that are the greatest. So it's just a whole process for me with Old Forester. But I could tell you the birthday bourbon, I don't think there's been a time I didn't like the birthday bourbon. And I haven't been able to try their distillery only releases that they've been releasing, but we're trying to do that. So the 150, I just put a little bit in there.
I enjoy this 1920. I get the dark cherry and chocolate off the bat.
This 150, I still have a little bit left. I'm getting a lot of brown sugar on the front. I get the pepper spice in the back, and I'm not getting a lot of banana. So when we did this Moonshine University course, they had a blind tasting. And seriously, I basically started tasting it and I could taste the bananas right off the bat. So I knew it was Old Forester. So I'm sitting next to Nash and I'm like, this is Old Forester. So the guy's asking us questions about it. And I'm like, that's Old Forester regular 86. That's Old Forester 100. And then that's Old Forester. That's an Old Forester single barrel. And I figure it's about 124. And the teacher was like, shh, you're not supposed to be saying anything. You're telling everybody what it was. And when it came out, it was exactly that. So I blind tasted with a brand. And so it's the only brand, seriously, that I've ever been able to, pick out the flavors. I mean, you don't know how many times I love Jim Beam, and I love Booker's, but sometimes I think it's Booker's and it's not. You know what I mean? There's some single barrels or there's some barrel strength that have that Booker taste, but that's hard for me to pick. But the Old Forester was perfect. Now I'm excited on this plastic bottle. Well, maybe wait. Yeah, it's definitely. Is it?
I didn't know you liked Booker's.
I love Booker's. Booker's is why I got into this.
No,
I'm not wearing a Booker's hat, am I? No. All right, so there's the Jesus.
My tablet's sitting on a Booker's box right now.
Excellent. Excellent. So this is just Old Forester 100. Let's see. Your brother's watching.
I just saw that.
Yeah. Does he know? Oh, yeah, he does. Now I'm hoping on this regular Old Forester. Let's see. Yep.
Banana?
Yeah.
What?
But really smooth banana. It's 86 proof. Do you find it funny now that you've been drinking bourbon that when you remember back to a kid when you drank whiskey, how it was just hot? Like the flavors and everything. I mean, it's crazy to me what the difference is.
Probably how my wife drinks it now, like it's instantly turned away because of the heat. Where I past that and develop where you can actually pick up the flavors. And
you know how you can get her to get around that? Don't have her drink them. If she does, just have her take a little, right? But have her always smell it. That's how I with Roxy, it was like I let her smell them. She's like, "Oh, I do smell that, or I do that," and then take a very little sip, and it just eventually led to no problem.
Her first tasting was at New Riff. That was her introduction.
Well, that's barrel strength, isn't it? Yeah, the single barrel. We did the taste. We stopped in one day and got right when they were getting ready to introduce their rye. So I got a chance. So this is courtesy of Super Nash, this 1920. So I'm going to open that right now and let it air out. Okay. Now 1920, I believe, is 115 proof, and 1910 is 93 proof. So I just got to get this because this definitely has a neck pour right here. Did you hear that? All right, let's keep that open for a little bit. Let that air out. And I'm going to go to the 1910. Now, this is 96 proof. And it's old fine whiskey. And seriously, so far on both the 150 and the Old Forester, I didn't get that sweet banana that I like, that I really pick up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that
my brother that's watching it, he actually had that birthday bottle down in Key West with me.
Yeah, the years. I just look forward to the years. You do know whiskey won a birthday bourbon.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
You saw what I said to him right away. I'm just like, he put that in the group text, and I'm just like, F you. You won again. I never win. It's just not that I'm mad at him. I'm glad he won, but it's just like it would be nice for someone else to win.
My luck, I would have been able to win the $4,000 bottle. That was a.
Now this 1910, which has been sitting for 2 years, it could even be sitting for 3. Oh my God, that's spectacular. Wow.
I'll have to pick up one of those.
Really, all right. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but this tastes. It's got a little bit of pepper, but it actually has green banana. Not real ripe, not like runts. But ripe enough, not just a little green. That's really good. I'm excited because it's been a while. Now,
I think that was one of the bottles in that trio pack I won at the Christmas party.
There you go.
I ended up giving it away to someone that night, so.
You shouldn't give stuff away. You should keep it. So
this year,
what was I reading about? Oh, Woodford Reserve, okay, which is Brown and Forman also, which is partially the exact same mash bill that Old Forester is. So initially, but it's a little bit older aged. But when Old Woodford, they were talking about it's right on Glens Creek, and then I thought of Glens Creek Distillery. Yep, I saw that.
My new shelf I put up.
So are you in your basement?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a new shelf in your what?
Yeah, I put up 3 new bars down here.
I know you have a lot of bars. I was just wondering what made you. So you're actually lower. You're not at a bar, right? You're kind of there's a table in front of you, or are you at a bar?
I'm sitting at my bar. It's just how it's propped up on those Booker boxes.
Okay, but not the bar we were tasting at. Not the big bar.
That is.
Here we go. We're going on a tour.
There's the other. That's the tequila bar.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're facing that way.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a great man cave. There's no doubt. I was so happy when I got down there to share a pour with you right before Tampa Bay kicked the Packers' ass.
Did they? I must have. I forgot.
Oh yeah, that. Really? You did not forget. I know that. I'm glad that I was going to Covington. That was one to miss for me.
I haven't. Has Nash worked on his with that wood I gave him?
The what?
With the
bar top?
Wood I gave him
for the bar top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's made it. He's got it all on and done. It's all done except for he has to run his Ethernet underneath his house to get to the bar. So he's been still in his, coming from the bedroom.
I'm getting ready to pick up some wood from St. John Arena.
Yeah?
That'll be interesting to use that.
All right, so this 1920 is what I'm tasting now. Now, this is 115th proof, so this takes it to a different level.
I enjoyed that. I said
I get what you said. On this one, I get the chocolate and cherries. I still think the 10 is better than the 20.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to get a 10.
This is way better than I remember.
Do you think the proof is the difference for you also, or?
No. I get the chocolate and the cherries, and I get more pepper. And like I said, yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, I will have to admit, the Old Forester is what I drink if I was doing my fantasy league, and the 1910 and the 20 Prohibition style is what I'd be sipping by the fire, outside tonight. Just that's more of a sipper. The Old Forester 1910 is a little bit more of a drinker. All right, so let's hit a couple of these.
1910 drank hotter than the 20.
What?
Walker thought the 1910 drank hotter than the 20.
I will tell you, Walker, that might be the case unless you let it sit for 2.5 years and then revisit it. I'm telling you, the 2.5 years has mellowed that out. You know what I mean? So let's just get into that real quick. You've got a big bourbon collection. Have you noticed the more that you let something, you can't drink all your bourbon, just like it's not possible, right? We have so much, but you can drink the bottles that you like a little bit. But when you let a bourbon sit for a while because it gets pushed to the back of the rows and then you're always drinking new bourbon, I mean, don't you find that when you revisit some of those, they really get better?
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about if it gets too low. Now, what's really weird is that I don't have anybody living here except Roxy. And I know she doesn't come down and, if she wants a pour, I'm usually getting her the pour. But my bottles will go down from time to time, especially the good ones. And you're going, why is that down? I don't remember drinking that much. But it's like there's a certain amount once you open it up that you're going to lose to evaporation. You just can't. It happens. So I was always thinking that it would be really cool one day to open up all my bottles, take the corks off, and then go upstairs, and then come back the next day and see what the basement smells like. It's just like it would be like, will it smell like a rick house? Like they'll all merge together, or you know what I'm saying? So, all right. Well, I do like the 1920, and I do. So when we did the blind, I would say I was not a fan of 1920. It went into fourth place. Now, now we get into the fun part. These are single barrels. Let's start with the lowest proof. 127, 138. Do you have a single barrel there?
I do not.
128 and 138. So that's 133. So 128.
That's funny. I got the party source about midday down in Newport by New Riff. And I walked in, and the guy grabbed a bottle of the single barrel off that front counter just as I was walking in the last one.
It happens.
So I almost had one.
Yeah, it happens. So I have to think about who I gave it to. I think I gave it. I want to say I gave it back to Nash. So I got a single barrel from the state, and I got it, and there wasn't supposed to be an Old Forester release. It was at my store, and he's like, "I got this," and I'm like, "Okay, take it." So I didn't open it, and Nash came and we opened it and we tasted it, and it's from the state of Ohio. But what happened was the state of Ohio lost that barrel, and it got distributed before it should have. So I was able to get that barrel like 4 months before they released the other barrels for Old Forester. So I had that, and Nash loved it. So I believe I let him go home with that. So this single barrel is the one from Fort Knox. This is where Walker is stationed in Kentucky.
Nice.
So cheers, Walker. Let's see if we're going to get some. I'm just going to shoot for bananas on these. Okay, that one's good. Not too much pepper at 127. I want to think. It's a little bitter. It's not peppery bitter. It's just bitter. Spicy. All right. So let's go up to the 128. And this one is Veterans. The Veterans 2023. I'm going to try that. Try a little bit.
It's a little.
Oh, yeah. It's all just a little. Ken Schreiner's watching. That one is sweet with yeah. So these single barrels for me don't pull out enough of the banana, and there's like a back thing going on. So this is a 133, and this is the Mammoth Liquor Store. So it must mean I want to go to the Mammoth Liquor Store because that is probably right outside the Mammoth Cave, right? So I'm going to switch over. We'll just take this into a new glass. All right. I have lots of expectations for this one. Just a little. Oh, yeah. Bananas and chocolate. That's a winner.
Which one was
133.
that?
That's the Mammoth Liquor Store. I believe that's what it is. I thought left y'all a sample, but I'll drive a bottle over. I don't know. I don't think JJ. I don't think you left. I don't think. Woo, about that bourbon coming out next month. He's talking about. Okay, so Ross is watching too now. It's good to see you, Ross. Or hear, not see you, but know that you're watching. So that Mammoth wins right there, and here comes one more. We'll do the last one. This one is the. Oh my God! I think I got to put on this one. I got to put the glasses on. You know, this just is getting to be ridiculous. This is the Kroger. So let's check this one out at 138.9. Ask JJ what bourbon he's talking about next month.
What bourbon he's talking about?
Yeah, just ask him. JJ, when we went to he's JJ Jackson is on Moonshiners along with Amanda Bryant. So when we went and did the veterans distilling at Stolen Wolf, where they honored veterans that distill, and they picked I believe 8 of them, and they all came, and Amanda and JJ showed them kind of what they do to make their whiskey and their moonshine. And then Alan Bishop was there. There was a barrel maker. There was a bunch of stuff like that. All right, let's see if this one does. I think the Mammoth is the winner because that's
Yeah, I was looking up that liquor store. There's multiple locations
for the Mammoth.
Well, it says it's in Campbellsville, Kentucky, but there's also one in Cave City, Kentucky. There's basically 1 and 2.
So this one it picks up, but it's finishing bitter. There's a bitter taste. So I would say, so far out of everything that I've tasted, the Mammoth Liquors wins the single barrel. And hey, Walker, if you could get me a bottle of that one, I'm on board. And then I have to say Of the 1910 was good, and the 1920 picked up something that, I like that cherry chocolate flavor that you're talking about. I like this banana that you pick up from the 1910 because that's what I want from Old Forester. But then I picked up this mammoth one. Uh, go from there, and then the
Which one was the
last
green bananas?
what?
Which one was the green bananas you said?
The green
That one.
bananas was coming
You said
from.
you got green bananas from one of them. I can't remember which one it was.
From one of the single barrels? No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
It was the
No, that
green
was a
bananas
previous.
was coming from 1910.
1910.
1920 picked up cherry and chocolate, and then this picked up the bananas. This is ripe bananas at 133.9. This is awesome. And then let's go to what everybody freaks out about. This is Old Forester rye. I mean, all I've ever been told is drink Old Forester rye, drink Old Forester rye, drink Old Forester rye, because it drinks like a bourbon. So we are going to try. So supposedly the bananas on this are crazy. Like, it's like rye with bananas. So I'm going to pour a little bit of this. This is a single barrel, I believe. Let me read it, because now Nash, all the stuff that I get, and I put it in different bottles and different, I get so many samples. If there's no label on it, or it's whatever, or someone just writes the proof, I don't have a memory. But Nash, when he does it,
I've got some down on my thing that just say 1 through 6 on it.
yeah, it's just like 1 through 6 of what? Now, if you participated in CT's Christmas thing, that I know based off of the label. But this is a single barrel rye barrel. So it's a single barrel rye barrel strength. So this proof is 124 proof. So Old Forester doesn't, I mean, you see the rye, but this, here we go.
Well, my rye had probably to the level of that.
What?
Did you say yours is a single barrel?
Yeah, this is the single barrel rye that came out.
I have not tried that one. I just have my 100. I enjoy it though, but
it's a really sweet rye. Like, it's green, but it's like they added sugar. It's almost syrup.
thicker.
Watch
Thicker
this.
almost? Or what?
Watch this. Watch.
Leaving a coating on your.
Oh yeah, it's the legs are like really, really thick. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get one really good. Yeah. It's seriously. It's like I could taste the rye. It doesn't even have a celery. It's almost like if you took that rye seed in rye bread, you took a bunch of them and you coated them in sugar. And then ate them.
Candied.
And then to think that this will get you drunk. Yeah, candied rye. That is one of the most unique whiskeys I think I ever So if this was blackberry or it was some sort of fruit, even banana, I would say it tastes like cough syrup. It's that thick, right? But it's rye spice. It's just like it takes away the cough syrup aspect, even though it's thick like that and it's sweet like that. That is unique.
So I'm assuming the rye single barrels are pretty hard to find.
Yes, but they didn't go over as well as the bourbon single barrels. You know what I mean? So they were a little bit available. There was a little bit but then they were gone because they don't produce them like they do the single barrels.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, you want to know what the burp was? Bananas. It's just like, what? I just burped bananas. So if you combine 1910, 1920, Mammoth, Rye, Old Forester Regular, 150, in the end, you end up with runts in your burps. So anyways, all right. So do you, when you had that with your brother, that pour in Key West, were you saying?
Yeah.
Did you visit the Key West Trading Company when you were doing
Yes, I had my death in the afternoon, and we had a few other spirits there. But another thing I like about that place was they have a community fridge. So I brought some beer down with me and left it in the fridge there, and people can come in and kind of swap out a can from here. So there will be beer in that little fridge from all over. You just tip. Basically, it's a tip based. You sample things like where we went. You sample things. You didn't buy anything, but you tipped.
Okay, but when you were with that fridge, that you were putting yours in, so you could take a couple out.
I would donate in, I'd leave a tip, and then pull a couple cans out and try.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that place, but it was neat to know that kind of the story behind the death in the afternoon also
with Bill. Do you know the full story?
I don't know the full story, but the funny thing was I was there at the distillery probably 3 weeks before I went down, and I happened to see the labels sitting there.
At Dayton?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when I learned that was only down there.
So did you
but I don't know the full backstory of the whole thing.
I'll give you the full backstory another time.
Yeah.
It took me a while to figure it out. Alan Bishop is a beta and gluco. Brian said, Alan Bishop, is beta and gluco the same? So I don't know. So Brian Silcott's on. So Brian, he makes stills, copper stills. So he's on. I don't think. Hey Brian, I don't think that Alan's there, but hopefully he responds. I will after the podcast. I will come back in. I'll send him his question. I'll ask that question for you. All right. Statement. Although I never had the birthday. Statesman. Okay. So, Patty.
I was getting ready to respond to that.
What?
I was getting ready to respond to that. I've yet to try the Statesman.
I have had it, and it's good. And I think, just Patty, the reason why Statesman is good is it's basically the movie, The Kingsman. So The Kingsman, they did the Statesman for the movie The Kingsman. and if you noticed in the Kingsman, Old Forester's all over the place, but that is the one that everybody's, you would drink. So I will tell you, I bought my only bottle of the Statesman for a friend, and we shared that bottle, and I bought it for him as a gift, but I was the one that killed 3/4 of it in one night. It was really good. So I agree with you, Patty. The Statesman is really good, but Birthday Bourbon is good. I don't remember what I. Yeah, I re-poured the 1910.
Yeah, I'll have to pick up a bottle of that just to try the difference between the two.
The 1910, like I said, is picking up that really good, not overripe banana, but a little bit underripe banana. Not so green it's not good, but I like that. All right. So, anyways, so what do you think of the brand? Do you like the brand? I mean,
I do.
honest. I want honest opinion. It's just.
I'll be honest with you. This was probably my second or third bottle of the 1920.
Okay.
But it was one of my first bottles that I was introduced to. So I enjoy it. I mean, but the thing is, like you said, I mean, you sample you have so many things over time. You're moving from one bottle to another. There are a few bottles you've gone back, and this is probably one of the out of 25 to 30 bottles that I've bought more than 2 times.
Yeah. It's like there are some that you revisit and keep going and keep going through. And I would say that the Old Forester 1920, like you're saying, I did enjoy the first pour off that. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go. It's because like with barrel aged beers and stuff like that, I enjoy when I pick up a cherry note and stuff like that. Cherry and chocolate, I should say. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like this, because I do pick up that a lot in this bottle.
All right. So there you have it. Old Forester, made by Brown and Foreman. It's like they have a tasting room and tour at the distillery right there in Louisville. So if you have a chance, check that out. Melissa Rift is their master taster. She's, because I've been kind of trying to revisit Old Forester because she's doing the tasting now opposed to Jackie Zcon. And when, they had pushed Jackie so hard and made her, who she is today there. And when she left, you just wondered what was going to happen. But, Chris Morris and now Caleb Trigo, it should be going forward fantastic, and they still are using some of this with the pot still, mixing that to make the Woodford. And we've been down at Woodford and they produce some damn good stuff down there too. I mean, and all the Old Forester is being aged in rick houses, the classic Kentucky rick houses, and then you'd go to Woodford and those are in 3-story brick, rick houses. So a lot of different things happen based off of of the same mash bill, and then one's being half pot still, half column still. There's a lot of different things that you can do, even if it's the fermentation process and the mash bill is the same. Once you go through and age it and mix it with other different ways of distilling it, very unique process on this. So, all right, everybody, thanks.
I just saw Alan respond back. I look forward to the next time I get a meet up with him.
With glucose enzymes, you don't need beta. So yeah, so he came back and checked us out. Thank
Yeah.
you. We have to throw out thank you, Barrelhead, for showing up tonight. I really appreciate it.
It's
It's
been hectic the past 3 to 4 weeks, I would say here.
yeah,
It's one thing after another.
but at this that's life, and that's how we all roll. You know, that's what happens. But at the same time, I think this is our first one-on-one podcast. It's great
Yeah.
that you came in tonight. You know,
Yeah.
everybody else, you know, it's like CT. It's Rachel's birthday, which you got to give him it. You know, there you can't. He's got it. He was just like no. And then Super Nash, he's on his way to the beach. I'm like, you know, he said no, but he said he had to pack. I'm like, what do you have to pack for the beach? Nash, you wear your Speedo. That's it. Speedo and goggles.
Carl had a late dinner meeting, so that's where he was.
Yeah, I know. He had a late dinner meeting, and whiskey, you know, that's fine. There's a chance tomorrow night that we will be laying down what the new. So we were always doing whiskey and Tiny's rapid tasting. So I wanted to call it whiskey. It just remove the whiskey and Tiny, and instead of just calling it rapid tasting, spit or swallow. But that was nixed. So we were spit, savor, or it was spit or savor. Wait, spit, savor, or there was one other. He knows what it is. So we're gonna try the new format. So one thing is I purchased outside bar, breakfast bar kind of thing. So on the patio. So we might go live if it's not raining tomorrow night upstairs on the back, on the back deck, and just do it outside. But spit is involved. So what we're gonna do, whether we like it, we love it, or it's just spit, savor, or swallow. I don't know. Whatever. Spit, savor, swallow. That would be the triple S's.
The thing's going through my mind right now.
It's what. But isn't that what's supposed to happen That's how you get people to watch, right? So you got bikinis and bourbon. I mean, if she gives it a really good thing, she goes into a bikini. If it's okay, she just gets into shorts and a t-shirt, and So that rating system, but I just think everybody's going to want to see the spit. We're going to be able to spit those out, and I'm going to be critical. And
I've seen you spit a rye out before.
What?
A certain rye.
What?
I've seen you spit a rye out before.
Yes, you did, Angels. Yep, that was a fun night at Mother Stewart's. That's for sure. Yeah, I did. It's a reel,
Yeah.
and I spit it out, and there was a fan, and it's just like it just dissipated on. Yeah, that was pretty cool. All right. So everybody, thanks for joining us, Barrelhead. We appreciate it. I would say it's, you've been on a couple podcasts, just kind of whatever, but this is our first one-on-one. So it's official. So I appreciate it so much.
I enjoyed it. I'll be available more here in the future. It's just been a bad past few weeks. So
no, dude, that's what I tell everybody. It's especially if we get some of the future plans going. It would be cool. We got a chance to be on TV in 2 different places. So let's. I just keep working the angles to get us to where we need to be. So it's been going good. Like the T-shirts. Shout out to Amin.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
Great guy.
yeah, for sure.
Great player.
All right, everybody, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and then also on all the podcast formats, especially Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. Remember, good bourbon, good whiskey equals good friends and good times. Remember to drink responsibly, don't drink and drive, and live your life dangerously.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Little Steve will take us out.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die.
All right, we're done with that. Let me quick start saving it. It was perfect timing. I think I had 137 and we did 132. That's all that's left in my allowance for the month. And then it doesn't reset till the 28th, but by the 28th, it'll have reset and I'll be able to do the next podcast. All right. That file published to uploading. All right. We'll call this old file. Say. All right. So we're still live on Facebook and YouTube. So when you were drinking Birthday Bourbon,
Yeah.
what did you think of the Birthday Bourbon?
I'll be honest with you, we didn't have much of it. You want to know the story behind it?
Sure.
We were sitting there, wasn't one of my best days down there in Key West, but we were sitting down there at the bar eating, and I'm guessing the busboy or whatever came from the back out to the bar area. We were sitting there, and I asked him just if I could see the bottle, because I'd seen that birthday bottle there. And he said, "Well, you guys want to try it?" And he goes and just pours us a little pour of it just to try it. Didn't charge us or anything, but it was for having a sip of it. I mean, I'd like to have more of it to try more, but I'll be honest with you, I can't remember. I want to say it was like 21 may have been the year on the bottle.
Okay.
But I mean, I enjoyed the tiny bit that I did have, I should say.
Well, yeah. Sometimes, like I
said, it was a rough day down in Key West from being out on the boat, not doing so well, and then after a night of
drinking.
Yeah, a little bit down there.
So, what were you drinking that night? Rum?
Let's see. We were Irish Kevin's. I mean, we were all over the place.
So you basically made yourself a Long Island iced tea.
Oh yeah. But yeah, when you go early in the morning and stop about midnight to 1 a.m, you start all over the day.
Yeah, and then start all over and then get on a boat. Not good.
Oh yeah. My brother does good on the boat. I don't.
Well, you might do better on a boat if you weren't drinking all night. I boats don't bother me, that's for sure. I enjoy boats. My wife, on the other hand, she was we did a couple ocean, whale watches, and we went fishing on the ocean a couple times, and she was always worried. She was taking Dramamine and everything, and I was just like, no biggie. But to be
See, I tried some of that stuff and it still didn't. Yeah, probably between Green Parrot and Schooner Wharf, that's probably our favorite bars down there.
You say you've been there more than
Green
once.
Parrot's
So, I mean, they sound like they're rum bars.
I mean, they all have that. I mean, are you going to go down there and find a ton of bourbon? No, but
well, you will find a ton of bourbon at the trading company. You know what I mean?
correct. I mean, yeah, you'll have stuff there. I mean, we had absinthe there. I mean, just different things. But I think you get more of a variety, and then, I mean, you do end up drinking a little beer too. So, but Gentleman's, it was Gentleman's something. There was a nice speakeasy type bar down there we went to that had some nice cocktails, smoked drinks, and different things.
I've tried to get there 3 times now because my mom and dad live 4 hours away in Boynton Beach. And
Yeah.
I scheduled it the last time we were there in February. We were there the weekend. We got there on the Sunday. The Saturday, we got there the Saturday before the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
we just drove. We left on Friday and we got there Saturday. And we stayed one night, Friday night, in the mountains of North Carolina. And then we drove the rest of the way and got there Saturday night. And then watched the Super Bowl. Wednesday planned to drive down to Key West, and spend the time. I had talked to the owner, who knows Alan Bishop, and oh, come on, Bill Hockett.
Yeah.
And we were gonna go there, and I was gonna get some video of it and everything, and it was supposed to be on Thursday. And Wednesday, my wife comes to me and she's like, I'm just not up for a 4-hour drive there and a 4-hour drive back. In the Saturday, Sunday drive home. And I'm like, all right. So I had to let them know I wasn't making it. But I would have done it if I was, but that's just me.
The first time we did it, we went, because I've been down there twice with my brother. It was great trips, some of the best trips I've been on. But first time he wanted me to see kind of Highway 1. So we flew into Miami and then drove down, stayed in Marathon the first night or two, slept through a hurricane, and then drove on down to Key West after that. It's different.
Well,
and I've gotten to like make it. There's a charter, make it so charters. Howie down there, I've got to know him a little bit through my brother, and I'll ship him down some beer because he enjoys it.
You are almost a beer distributor.
There's just some people down in Kentucky that like it too.
Yeah, there's people everywhere that like it. So yeah, and I'm sure. Never mind. We won't get into that. Yes, Mother Stewart's, where you ever gets a chance to taste Mother Stewart's expressions as far as a brewery, I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Yes. That for a while.
For about 4 years now. Brandon Corey's the head brewer that I work with every day. But yeah, I've learned a lot between him and Kevin.
You like to finish it in whiskey barrels.
Yeah, that's the part I'm trying to introduce into things, and it's coming along.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't have that, do they?
Yeah. No.
Nope.
Maybe.
Most people like beer in whiskey barrels. It's just like you add just that flavor of the wood and the bourbon, and it just goes with like a really good amber, right? I mean, there's just it adds a creaminess to a stout. I mean, there's just so much that it does.
That's like I got that Madeira barrel from Dark Arts, and I put a triple Belgian in it.
That's sold.
It's sold, and it's I still have some to take. Let him to take some down to him to have him try. But it's crazy in a Madeira barrel. Your beer can finish within 2 to 3 weeks, and you can use it twice. They're expensive barrels, but you can get two brews out of one barrel. That's kind of, you don't get that out of a normal barrel.
Did you have to pay for it?
For what?
For the Madeira?
It was one he kindly allowed me to try some things with.
Okay, perfect.
He took care of me.
Yes, and then so just make sure you save just one can for me.
Oh yeah, we still have, I want to say like 6 barrels with it. So we still have some
left. Okay, perfect. All right. So thanks for coming on tonight.
Oh yeah, that was good. It was good. I think I needed this kind of one-on-one thing.
Of course,
because I never really know when to jump in, and I don't want to overstep. And
there's no such thing.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as overstepping. So a lot of times you're on and whatever, but you got to ask your questions. Okay.
Yeah.
If you start,
what I can and can't say too, because that's where I don't know where, if anything comes into play like that.
So what do you mean as far as can and can't?
As far as a product,
so
when we've had release or something, I don't want to.
So as far as pushing stuff, so don't worry.
Yeah.
So put it this way: it's natural conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
And people that are following the podcast, there's a lot of people who are interested in beer finished in bourbon casks. Okay.
Yeah.
So put that in there. You know, when you're going about doing the stuff, just like, you know, talk about what, you know, you can talk about it. It's like, well, we put this in a Madeira cask and we did it for Macaulay. That's great. And then we can push the aspect.
I have stuff too that I've got aging right now from Amine stuff at Old Louisville.
Right. So that's great. But, you know, people who through drinking whiskey, adding whiskey to bourbon or beer is not a bad thing, you know. Yeah. I mean, seriously. So
other places taking care of us. I mean, even the places like I would like to talk about, like the places that donate the barrels to make the chairs that we have at like Bourbon on the Banks and stuff. That's what I enjoy doing also, besides drinking it. I enjoy the people we interact with and how generous they are about giving things back to people. And
that's the bourbon industry. They're about, people are down home and grounded, and that's why I love what we're doing, you know. But at the same time, you know, just all you got to do is work it in, you know, just work it in. I have no problem with working it in. And, you know, especially when you do charities like you did. And, you know, we went down to Stolen Wolf for veterans this past weekend. I wanted to cover it, you know, so I got a lot of footage and captured it. And so it's just like it's all good. It's what we're doing, you know. And people, like I said, bourbon drinkers like finished beers, right? And
I lost you there for a second.
I heard what spun? You like nicked something, and I heard and then you were there. So, anyways, yeah, just from the standpoint between then what giving the barrels back to the whiskey distributor or the whiskey distillery, and let them then they can put that barrel with bourbon. So I mean, I'd be excited to you put two rounds of beer in that Madeira cask, and you give it back to Macaulay, and he puts whiskey back in it. What the hell's that? That's whiskey and wine.
Yeah.
He should put a rye in there.
Yeah.
So, all right. I got to get this loaded, and I'm sure you got to get going too. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming on. I'm going to cut us off.
That's why I guess I need to talk to you about next Friday, if that's still a thing, or.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop the Facebook. All right. And let me stop the YouTube, and then we can talk. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. The walker's gone.
Thank you.
All right. Let's hit YouTube.